Hello, my friends. So I'm going to talk about how somatic work and feeling our feelings can connect us to spirit. Now, please don't be put off by the word spirit. And I say that because there was a time in my life, not too long ago, well, maybe 10 years ago, when I was completely, I wouldn't say opposed, but I thought spirit was just a really weird thing to talk about or a really weird thing to think about. I was the least spiritual person around. I was a complete atheist and had absolutely no connection to spirituality at all. But I started suffering a lot. I started suffering a hell of a lot, and I was in states of intense fear and intense panic and anxiety and depersonalization and PTSD and all sorts of crazy mad shit. And that went on for many years. And a certain point came where I realized, or I was taught, that if I connected to the feelings within my body, then those feelings within my body would stop creating the negative, neurotic, challenging, suffering thoughts within the mind. Now, my mind was pulling me into intense sort of hell-like experiences, and I'd have nightmares every night, and I thought I was going crazy, and I thought I was going to die, and I had all of this mad shit going on in my mind. And then one day, I was watching TV with my family, lying there, and I started having this panic attack, and the thoughts were coming, I'm going to go crazy, I'm going to lose my mind. And I looked over at a photo of myself as a young 10-year-old kid playing rugby, and I looked so happy at the time. And I thought, where is that kid? Like, how have I gone from that to just being in this suffering all the time? And I imagined that kid was still in me. And I put my hand like this, and I grabbed my hand, and I said to myself, I said to that kid, I've got you. I've fucking got you. And when I said that, kind of magically, my awareness went from being in this hellish thinking in the mind, and it just dropped into the feeling of panic that I was feeling. For some reason, in that moment, I gathered the courage to drop into the fear that I'd been running away from in the mind for so many years. And in dropping into that fear, I dropped into complete peace. Somehow, in allowing the fear to come closer to me and dropping into it, I just opened to something completely quiet and completely peaceful inside. And this joy, this causeless joy for being alive started arising within my heart. And I'd been depressed for years. I felt like I had no soul. I felt like I'd lost all connection to my whole family, to my whole life. And suddenly I was feeling joy. Simply because I'd connected with my feelings. I felt this joy inside. I felt this peace inside. And I look around the room, and everything went from kind of being hostile and dark to this warmth for life came again. It's like the room came alive, and I look at my family and I could really see them again. I could see my sister. I could see the love and joy in her eyes. I could see my brothers and sisters. They were playing a game, like a board game on the floor, and I could actually feel a connection to it, a love. And so I stand up and I walk outside, and I just keep my attention down within my body. And I was like, what is this? What is this? And I walked outside, and I could hear the birds again. I could feel the wind, I could appreciate the air. It's like I'd come back into my body. And again, I'd never really heard of spirituality. I didn't believe in it at all. I was completely atheist. And the thought came into my mind, this is what spirituality means. This is what spirituality means. And there was the sense that I'd come home to myself. I'd come back home to myself. And then Of course, I'd been suffering with trauma and all sorts for years, so all of these energies were still within me. I went on a really long process of meeting these feelings that I'd been running away from into my mind for years and years. And I didn't stay in some blissed out state forever. That maybe lasted a few hours or half a day or something. And then these feelings started coming back up, and they would come back in and start creating mind patterns. But I saw really clearly that it was the feelings in my body creating these mind patterns. And that if I just came out of the mind and just connected with the feelings, then I was free. I found a way, after years of intense psychological suffering, years of my mind beating the living shit out of me, I found a way to be free. And all I had to do was connect to these intense feelings that had been driving me insane for years. And so every day then, I would sit, I'd walk through the woods, and my attention down in the body, and I spent years and years and years just feeling into and processing these feelings that I'd spent my whole life running away from. And I felt like I'm here feeling these feelings and feeling this state of joy when I do it. And if I stay with the feeling, I'm at peace. If I allow the feeling to push me into my mind, I'm in intense suffering. So I had a continuous daily choice between intense suffering and peace and freedom. And so I was very lucky in that regard, because I didn't have some mundane way of feeling okay. There was no way for me to feel okay in the ordinary sense. I couldn't watch a movie to distract myself. It was impossible. For years, if I watched a movie, I wasn't listening to it. I was suffering and struggling with this horrible thinking mind. So I had a real amazing opportunity, because there was a stark difference between the suffering I would experience if I was in the mind and the peace and joy and freedom and just amazingness that I would experience if I was in my body. And so I would just choose body, because the suffering was too much, that it was easy to make that choice to come into the body. It took a lot of presence, it took a hell of a lot of presence, but the choice was easy. And I had to stay alert in the body. And then a certain time came when I realized that I wasn't even doing this anymore. I could just be walking around, and I could feel this energy just pouring into my body. I could feel that when a feeling arose, this sort of presence would come into my body and hold it and move it. And gradually I realized that in me connecting to my feelings, I was starting to perceive something that I was, which was beyond this body and that was beyond this mind. I was, without realizing it, being put deeply in touch with my own being, with this quiet space of okayness inside, with this place of goodness inside, with this place of safety inside. And intuitively, I started to feel that what I am at the deepest level has never and can never be harmed. And so I didn't intend really to go into telling a story there, but I guess that's a good illustration of how connecting to the body can put you in touch with spirit.